You remember just a little while back where I was talking about the PlayStation 4.5, the PlayStation 4K, and a myriad of other names and titles that us on the internet suggested we should apply to it? I know that one of the frontrunners was complete fucking bullshit. If I'm not mistaken, I think that is, but I'm not sure how good they can go and market that. It just, I don't know. But anyway, as an official codename that we can go and slap right onto the fucking dumper of the PS4 and call it a day, and as the PlayStation Neo. Now, despite the fact that this sounds like an 80s throwback machine, and if it was a throwback machine, it would actually be backwards compatible. Who'd have fucking thought of that? I must be some kind of fucking brain wizard to think that everybody wants to play 4 generations on one motherfucking machine. I'd seriously fucking pay through the nose for some shit like that. Got a bevy of PS3 games there, PS2 games over there, PS1 games over there. Shit, let me even put in fucking UMD games. I'd be all the fuck for it. Vita games? Fucking A right. But anyway, so all dreams aside, this is exactly as rumors had suggested, and like I was talking about before, it is an upgraded PlayStation 4. Upgraded GPU, CPU, and RAM, plus with the capability to be able to output in 4K. So everything was right on the money. Now, this is going to be one of those scenarios where we have extreme polarizing opinions right down the fucking center of motherfuckers who are all for it and motherfuckers who are all against it and want that shit to crash and burn just because they feel ripped off. But these people are really happy because it's a new prospect of options made available to them and all the other fucking happy hunky-dory shit. So this is how it goes. This is going to be put out at some point this year. Everybody's supposed to be saying like, sometime around October. Now, this, again, you've got a lot of people who are fucking angry about it. I'm talking, you can actually hear the angry mob ensuing and broiling and pissed off, grabbing up torches and pitchforks and just heading right off to Sony's offices, ripping all the fucking top brass out of their comfy little chairs, stripping their flesh, running it up a flagpole just to let everybody know while the fucking goddamn flesh sacks are flapping in the wind. Do not fuck with gamers. Motherfuckers are crazy. Heads on pikes everywhere. Also, flesh sacks flapping in the wind, that happens a lot of times during bad weather up at Walmart, so just keep in mind, it smells bad, looks bad, is bad, and you are eventually going to end up materializing that inside of your head meat. I do apologize, but, you know, you came to my videos, you should already expect me to say fucked up things. So, anyway, so pissed off people who have been there since day one or just bought a system recently are going to feel jaded and pissed off that there is something that exists that is better. Now, this, at least, has a silver lining to it, and I had said in the previous video, the only way that they could truly, honest to goodness, fuck this up is if you had games that were exclusive only to the PlayStation Neo. That is how you'd screw the pooch. I'm talking fucking elbow deep up in that bitch to the point that you're wearing it as a goddamn fucking boxing glove. This would not be a good thing to do at all because then you're dividing your own fan base, and that's not something that you want to do. Fortunately, that's not the case here. Despite the fact that it does have beefed up specs, all your games are still going to work on it. All future games, all going to work on the machines. That's what they needed to do. And I had said, I talked about it. The best way that they could do this is similar in the PC gaming, where it just recognizes your graphical settings and the hardware components that you have inside of it, and then it just applies it to that. Well, this will have, I guess what we'll dub as Neo settings, some shit like that. I don't know. References towards the Matrix be damned if we plug in and shit and be like, whoa, I learned Kung Fu. And I don't know how the fuck I did even think about it, but this sounds like one of the participants from American Gladiators. Like, go PlayStation Neo! And then, you know, Neo Bahamut and shit. One of the best goddamn summons in all of Final Fantasy. Looks so badass. Him and Bahamut, just, I fucking loved all that. FF7 had great summons, just saying. So, all the references and shit aside, just from the code name alone, but I can't imagine they're gonna put out, call PlayStation Neo and shit. So I don't see that happening. But this isn't going to leave anybody out in the cold, and the only exclusive feature to it is the 4K output. So that means if you're streaming like on Netflix or on YouTube or some shit, you'll be able to view 4K footage right off your PS4. Now, I don't know if this means that they're going to have games outputting in 4K. I can't imagine AAA releases outputting in 4K and sustaining like a decent 30 frames per second, let alone 60 frames per second, because even on a powerhouse gaming PC like I built right the fuck over there, That is an arduous task, even with the best fucking components made available to you. You could be dual wielding 2 fucking GTX 980 Ti cards inside of there, and that is still going to be kind of rough on some shit. I mean, I'm able to go and do 30 frames per second on shit like Batman Arkham Knight and on Fallout 4, but holy shit, am I gonna be capable of doing that on, like, the new Doom that's coming out? No, it's gonna fucking choke me like, so I don't see them doing it on this. Maybe indie games, possibly, or HD conversions of previous gen games that'll allow you to output it to 4K, possibly, maybe. Not saying that it will be able to, but video and images, yeah, most definitely, that's going to happen. But the beefed up CPU, the GPU, and the RAM, is it going to make a gigantic difference? Judging from the specs that they have right here, the CPU is jumping up from clocked 1.6 gigahertz up to 2.1. It's actually a decent jump. How much of a difference is that going to make whenever you're playing games? Remains to be seen. Because we haven't seen any, technically, like, Neo games or any pre-existing games that have been patched to take advantage of it, because obviously it's not fucking October. So until we get a DeLorean or a fucking Tartarus or some shit like that, you know, whatever. Anyway, so the GPU is jumping up from 800 megahertz to 911 megahertz, and then the memory is just getting faster. So it's still 8 gigabytes, not like it's jumping up to 16 gigabytes or some shit like that, but 176 gigabytes per second, that's what it is right now, it's jumping up to 218. So these are decent jumps, but one thing that should be pointed out is if you look in past generations, I'm talking PlayStation 3, PlayStation 2, and PlayStation 1. If you look at all those little CPU barcodes at the bottom, all those fucking numbers, and then you start doing some fact checking and look at some of those sheets, they've actually quietly upgraded the systems over time. They have done that. Now, is it anything as significant as, I don't know, an entire console generation leap? No. And neither is this. These are marginal leaps just by, like, specs alone. Still worthy of noting, but all this is going to do is give the developers more options, whether or not they're going to be stupid or foolish enough to try to go and make something exclusive, but I don't think that Sony would be dumb enough to let them do that. As a matter of fact, I can almost guarantee that they probably have it, that they're contractually obligated to make sure that the game is playable on both machines, because you're sitting at 20 million plus units sold worldwide. Why would you want to go and fuck up that kind of an install base only 3 years in to your system's lifespan? And we're talking about machines that typically last about an entire decade. PlayStations, they last a long fucking time when it comes to their entire console life cycle. I mean, typically it's like half. You know, we're talking like 5 to 6 years, roughly, for some of the less fortunate, 4 years. But the PlayStations, no, they go for the long haul. Those bitches are around for a long ass time. Usually they're just getting like trickles of games here and there during that like last twilight year of existing, but still. Now, this isn't the end of the whole like debacle and debate on whether or not this should or shouldn't be, because Microsoft apparently is also working on one and working on a slim model. So the slim model might end up being an upgraded version, but Phil Spencer himself came out and said, no, we don't have any plans of doing some shit like that. But I've also seen a lot of corporate people say, I don't think we're ever going to do something like that. And they turn right the fuck around and they do that. If they see that Sony is successful in doing some shit like this, or they end up getting a lot of pressure from developers, or they just internally think that this is the way that you have to move forward, because you have to keep in mind, they eventually want to treat the Xbox brand and the PlayStation brand as set-top boxes. That's what's going to happen at some point down the road. That's what they should have been right now, but everybody had fought tooth and nail to make sure that we had physical games. So the idea of them wanting to go and make upgraded versions of the system instead of just sitting at the same specs for an entire like 5 to 10 years straight, and especially in markets where you're always upgrading your computer, you're always getting brand new phones. This is just what we do. Car manufacturers putting out the same exact thing year after year with upgrades here and there. Is it going to piss off people? It is. Anybody who goes and drops $300 to $400 on a system, and then they go and announce, hey, there's going to be a brand new one. You have the right to be angry, but also understand that this is exactly what happens in every other technological market out there. When there is consumer demand for something in a market that is driving as much as gaming is, this is something that is just, it's going to happen. I'm surprised that it hasn't happened sooner, but it technically already has, like I had said. I mean, if you go back to a lot of, like, old school PC gaming, I'm talking, like, the Commodores and the Ataris and shit, dude, they were upgrading shit all the time. And let's not talk about all the fucking goddamn Sega add-ons that they did to those systems, or, you know, Nintendo 64, that had the fucking expansion pack tossed in there. The Sega Saturn in Japan, you were able to go and get cards that you can go and toss into the back of that. There's been a lot of shit over the years that we kind of just go and forget about because we're just thinking about the here and now, or some people just don't fucking know about some of these things. But this shit is pretty normal, and like I said, past generations, they've been upgrading your machines quietly, just not fucking telling you. You know, they've been increasing the processing speed. They've been increasing the graphical capabilities. They've been increasing they've been increasing everything, just quietly. Now, this shit is out in the open, because it's the internet. You know, motherfuckers get information just like this, and it makes its rounds. So, not all that surprising. I'm the middle of the road person where I just don't give a shit, because I'm more concerned about what games I'm going to go and pick up. Like, I need to finish Ratchet & Clank. That's my biggest concern, and then I need to go back and play fucking Digimon and go and finish that shit up because I was really enjoying that, playing Okage Shadow King, which is just a fucking downloadable game, but still enjoy the fuck out of it. I'm just concerned about games. That's it. The fact that we're not going to be left out in the cold on games, that's all I cared about. If I'm gonna go and trade this fucking beast in and go get a new one, I will. If I'm gonna go and buy a brand new one and just keep this as a backup, my OG PlayStation 4, I'll do just that. I've had a fat PS2 and a slim PS2. I've had the fat PS3, the fat fucking booty bubble butt PS3, and a slimmer PlayStation 3. PlayStation 1, big fucking great behemoth, and then tiny little PS1 with the fucking screen and shit, though I don't have the screen. I've wanted one for a long time, because those are fucking sweet. But anyway, this is normal. Am I defending this shit? No, I'm just not trying to be fucking angry about it, because I just care about games. So I'm that person. Just like with Microsoft, I just bought an Xbox One. That shit comes in 2 days. I give no fucks whatsoever if they go and make an upgraded version. I'm like, I'll just go and buy one later, because I'm patient. I just want to play games. That's really about it. The minute that you don't let me play games, that's when I have a fucking issue. Luckily, that's not the case here. So anyway, this is AlphaOmegaSin. As always, nerds, nerdettes, and gamers game the fuck on.